major change, which is on a very positive side, is that this generation is open to information.
I would say this generation is more free. They are not carrying too much of a baggage.
This generation is not afraid of an experience, and they are not afraid of failures, I believe.
Hello everyone, I welcome you all to yet another episode of Sip and Sync with Gen Z. You know how sometimes in the middle of the chaos, career FOMO, LinkedIn pressure, quarter life confusion, you just wish someone could help you zoom out and breathe? Well, today's guest does exactly that, but with strategy, science, and soul. Meet Coach Prasad, a seasoned corporate leader turned clarity coach who has helped thousands of young professionals rewrite their stories, not just their resumes. Through his platform UniqCoach, he guides Gen Zs and emerging professionals to find what he calls their inner compass, a way to navigate career and life decisions with meaning, not just momentum. First of all, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Soumya, for inviting me. Pleasure to have this be on this show.
Yeah. So, sir, I would love to know about UniqCoach. How did you start this? How did you get motivation to start this?
So the story goes back to 2010 when I happened to read this book called "Go Put Your Strengths to Work" by Marcus Buckingham. So I had this habit of reading a lot of self-help books, leadership books, and I came across this one. And the book had some very interesting exercises about finding your own strengths. And these were very different from the normal psychometric assessments that we have. So there were certain exercises where we had to reflect, write some answers, reflect on those answers. And with the help of that exercise, I got to know that one of my core strengths, which makes me feel really, really powerful that time, was to have a one-on-one conversation with my team members, motivate them, give them feedback, teach them something, or ask them questions, listen to them. All of this came out very clearly when I did those reflection exercises. And that's when I started using those strengths with my one-downs at work. And then in 2015, I was assigned an executive coach while I was working with an organization. And when I was being coached, that's when it became very clear that this is exactly what I would like to do when I retire. Because I was enjoying that process of someone asking me questions, listening to me, and trying to get answers from me about my own challenges and goals that I wanted to achieve without giving any suggestion. So that was something really, really fantastic and really interesting that I went across and I came across. That's when I decided, yes, this is exactly what I would like to do when I retire. So without wasting any further time, I joined the coach training program, an ICF accredited coach training program in 2015, got my certification, started coaching people. And slowly and steadily, I started getting a lot of good feedback. People started sending me testimonials on how they were benefiting with my coaching. And that's when it started becoming more and more clearer for me that this is it. This is something that I would like to pursue. I would like to carry forward. And hence, 2019, I decided to leave my corporate job, came back to India. I was in Singapore that time, came back to India and started on my own. So that's how UniqCoach came alive. The name UniqCoach stands for, the reason why I named it UniqCoach is because each one of us is very unique. None of us are similar in whatever we do. So that's why UniqCoach.
That is a great and inspirational story that we heard. So, sir, talking about, I was going through your website and I could see that you've mentioned clarity coaching. So, for someone who is a 22-year-old who's figuring life, who's not very sure what is happening, how would you define that to them?
So when I say clarity, for me, clarity may mean something else. But when a youngster comes to me and seeks clarity, I would first like to understand what exactly he means by clarity. He or she means by clarity. What kind of clarity they are looking for. In what areas of life they are looking for that clarity. Right? Is it personal front, professional front, social front, anything, right? So first, before I assume something, that's what I try to understand from them. And then I take things forward, right? And each one's definition of clarity may be completely different, as I said. That's why it's UniqCoach, right? So
Right.
only after listening, understanding, clarifying, I then start probing and then tackle those issues accordingly, right?
Right.
Does that give you the answer as to how
Yes.
it
Yeah.
works? Because it may mean different things for different people.
Right, right, right. Right, that is very true. So, sir, considering that in this generation, we have a lot of options. Like online, there are so many people who are teaching us so much, and these things might lead to decision fatigue in a lot of Gen Zs. So, if I had to ask you that maybe one technique that how can we cope with it, that what exactly is something that we really want to do when hundreds of options when we have it in front of us, what would it be?
Can you repeat this question? I didn't understand. What exactly are you looking for? So say that again.
Yeah, so like since there has been a lot of options to us, like in terms of career and multiple things we see online, so the consumption of information is so much that we might have this decision fatigue of what is correct for me and what is not correct for me. So how do we deal with this? How do we make a decision about it?
A good question. Yes, now there are millions of career options,
Right.
right? And it's industry agnostic. I know someone can do multiple things at the same time. That's the
Right.
kind of things that are available. And I have seen that people, even if they are studying, they're already earning in some way or the other while
Right.
they're still studying. But again, as I said, there's probably not one technique. There can be multiple ways in which people can figure out. But something that has been working for a long time is to first find out what are the core values that individual is driven by. Right? All of us, at the very core of us, there are certain values that we are brought up with, right? Which come from our childhood, from our family background, from our friends, and from our schools and colleges, from the environment that we have grown up in. A lot of those create certain core values, certain deep beliefs within us. So very important to first identify what are those core values, what drives me
Right.
personally, professionally.
Right.
Once that becomes clear, the second step is to also find out what are my strengths, the exercise which I was referring to, right? And there
Right.
are different ways to figure out your strengths, right?
Right.
So what am I good at? What do I enjoy doing? What am I, whenever I do any activity, which kind of activity makes me feel very, very powerful and confident, right? Which
Right.
I feel like doing it again and again. I am in a flow.
Right.
The time doesn't matter when I'm in that activity. Figuring out what are those strengths. Right? Third thing is what skills, right, are important. What skills are something that I'm good at? What skills I have mastered, right? That is something that they can start figuring it out. Once these two, three things are in place, that individual will automatically start understanding where exactly the direction is going towards, right? And that is what starts helping them understand what kind of role, what kind of profession, industry, organization that they may start looking at. Okay, this is not as easy as I am saying it. It needs discussion. It needs conversations, right?
That
Because
is
while people can find out their values, strengths, and skills and what they are interested in, it is also important what kind of mindset they are in, right?
right.
That mindset plays a very big role. Do they believe in themselves that this will work and that they will be able to sail through, or they have a self-doubt? Where are they operating from, right? So a lot of things boil down to the mindset aspect of that individual.
Right.
Because if that part is not clear, the strengths, values, skills will not help in any way,
Right. Right.
right? So having that growth mindset, having that flexible mindset, having the mindset to change directions quickly, believing in themselves that if a failure comes, how to quickly get back from a setback, all that becomes really, really important. So
Right.
that's kind of a framework one can say, one can look at, but it needs a lot of conversations.
That is true. So talking about growth mindset, do you think that this generation, they like, how would you differentiate between this generation and maybe people who were before us? Like, is this generation more ambitious, or since they have more options, more information? What is your take on that?
Uh, that would be a very generalized statement to say that whether this generation is more ambitious. I would say this generation is more free. They are not carrying too much of a baggage the way probably the previous generations carried. I would also say that they may not be taking that kind of responsibility which the previous generations have taken. And I heard in some video some time back, which was a very interesting argument that this influencer had made, saying that the previous generations, people were working for salaries, they were working for to buy their houses, to buy their cars. But now for this generation, everything is there already,
Right.
right? Uh, their parents have already done everything for them, most of them, right? So they are not working for to buy a house. Most of them, again, I'm generalizing. That doesn't mean 100% of the people do it, but that's where it is. They're not working to buy a house or a car. Their aspirations are completely different, right? They're looking at things very, very differently. They want to be on their own, right? They don't want to do what their parents probably would have done in the past, right? And they want to have their own choices, right? So from that standpoint, yes, their definition of ambition may be very different compared to
Right.
what the definition of ambition was in the previous generation, right?
Right.
Again, every definition is different by every generation. So
That is
one needs to really, really understand what do they want and what do they mean by what they want. What
right.
is the meaning of ambition or aspiration in their language, in their mind, in their eyes? That becomes important. It cannot be just harped upon them or put on them. Eh, This is what you should do, or this is what you need to do. It won't work.
Right. So like talking about this, maybe like in the previous generations, there were not a lot of options and not a lot of, like, maybe the risk appetite has increased of this generation. Would you agree with that?
It has. It has. It has. There are many options. You go on Chat GPT and ask for a suggestion. You get tons of suggestions on what you can do, right?
Right.
Which wasn't there.
True.
You had to talk to people to get those suggestions. Even then, you wouldn't get those many suggestions. Now, when you put something on Chat GPT,
Right.
right? So it's a very different ball game altogether, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's where it's coming from. What they need to do is a lot of things are automated, a lot of things are there on the platter, but you know, so the information is tremendous.
Right.
How to use that information, what to do about it is something that they need to learn.
That is correct. Right. So, sir, talking about Gen Z as a team, have you worked with this generation, like as
So I haven't worked directly with them, to be honest, but
okay,
I have got an opportunity to mentor a few people, right,
okay,
who have studied in IIMs. Um, I've I've got an opportunity to work with them as a group as well as have a one-on-one conversations. That's something that I've done with a
all
lot of
right.
people.
All right. So, like during mentoring, you might have given them feedback. So, I wanted to ask that do they take feedback like uh, constructively, or they're more rigid? Like, if I wanted to ask you about some pattern of how they take
No,
feedback.
they take it constructively. They take it constructively. They have a lot of questions,
All
right?
right.
They want to improve. Definitely, they want to improve.
Right.
Um, uh, they want to know what has worked for other leaders so that they can imbibe and they can bring it within them. So they're definitely more curious, more inquisitive. Uh, they can debate very well, right? That's something that I've also observed. They have their own mind. They may not agree with everything that you say, which is good. Again, they will challenge.
Right.
Uh, and they will ask questions which can stump people at times, right?
Right.
So yeah, they're very different compared to how people were there in the previous generations. Their vocabulary, uh, the way they speak, uh, the confidence level is very different. That's
Right.
what my observations are.
All right. So, sir, also talking about this, was there a point when you were mentoring and you had to change your style that you've been using for previous generations just because this generation might be a little different in terms of, like you said, all these traits?
Yeah, initially yes, but over a period of time, have understood to have more patience with them.
All
Yeah,
right.
because they won't like more directions, right?
Okay.
Definitely they won't like more direction because directions are all there on the internet, right?
Right. Right.
So they need somebody to listen to,
That is correct.
right? They want people to listen to them, challenge them, right, and tickle their creative mind, right, so that they can go out and do something on their own, right? They want people to believe in them that yes, they can do it, rather than trying to control them.
Right.
I think that's what my uh, observation is, personal observation.
All right. So, sir, talking about coaching, since you've been doing it for quite a long time, a lot of our listeners might be confused in what is coaching and how is it different from therapy. So, would you
Hmm.
like to say something around that?
Sure, sure. So very simply put, therapy is about going into the past, healing people who are under some kind of stress, um, and they may be having some medical issues as well,
Right,
right? Coaching is not about going into the past. Coaching is about dealing with the present and thinking about the future, right?
right,
The common thing is in therapy also, you ask questions. The therapist asks questions and probes and tries to get answers from the
right,
client. In coaching also, it works the same.
Right.
But in therapy, the approach is more of healing, right? Their past wounds. Coaching is not about healing. Coaching is about trying to find out solutions to their problems. So they
Right.
are mentally fit to get forward. But does that mean that somebody who is being coached cannot be does not need therapy? No, therapy and coaching can go hand in hand.
All right.
They can also work together. So there are some overlaps, but they are also different,
Right.
right? And both are quite powerful, depending upon the context, depending upon the need of that individual. One has to really understand whether they need therapy or need coaching, right? So my definition of this is very simple. If you are trying to work on some past issues, past wounds, childhood related issues, childhood related stuff, right? Some trauma, then therapy comes into picture, right? But if you're talking about career related, want to work on your own behaviors, on your own leadership style, right? Management style, work on effectiveness of your own behaviors. Coaching is something that can help you.
Right. I think this would clear a lot of doubts that people have between coaching and therapy. So, wrapping up this interview, there's one last question that I would like to ask. So, if you had to give one advice to the Gen Z listeners, what would it be?
One advice to Gen Zs, I think just be the way you are, simple, and enjoy the freedom that you have. Uh, be curious, keep asking questions, keep challenging the norms, right? But just make sure that whatever that you do is ethical, right? Etched in integrity. I think those are timeless virtues or principles, whatever that you may call ethics, honesty and integrity. The rest, I think everything is up there for them to consume. So that's the one thing that I would say.
Right. Thank you so much, sir. This session was truly very insightful. And for everyone who's watching in, if you're feeling stuck, confused, or just craving direction, you can check out Sir's website that I will be sharing in the link below. So thank you so much for joining in, Sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Wonderful connecting, wonderful questions. Thank you for asking those questions. I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much, Sir.